good to chat with you, and it's an exciting time for you with the new Christmas album out now. Very excited to chat with you about it. How are you feeling about the whole project, and how excited are you to get it out there to the fans?
Oh man, I'm very excited about this. It's November will be 20 years that I've been doing this professionally, and one of the most common questions that I've gotten throughout those 20 years is that, um, Josh, when are you going to do a Christmas record? and and my stock answer has always been, well, it's on my list of things to do, and so until 2021, I've never really had the time or the opportunity to do a Christmas record, and it's been kind of tough throughout the years because every time Christmas time rolls around and Christmas music starts playing, and I hear all these other artists, these peers of mine that have Christmas music out, and there I am with no Christmas music to offer. Like, it just kind of made me feel kind of left out, you know. Um, so it's good now to finally actually to have some Christmas music to offer, and I think my fans are just elated about this, and so am I, and I'm very proud of this record.
So, when did you actually record the album? I'm guessing it was probably earlier this year.
Yeah, it was April and May, which is
Was that a
funny
strange
because
experience to record a Christmas album in April, May?
oh, absolutely. And not only that, but this was the fastest record that I've ever made. I for my portion of the record, it literally took 22 days from start to finish,
Wow.
for me to do my part, and that was the fastest I'd ever made a record. It was I had to kind of take a step back every now and then and say, man, I hope we're doing this right, because we're doing it fast.
Well, tell us about the process of choosing the track list for the album, because I know you wrote four of the tracks. You saw for the four original songs on there, but there's loads of classics to choose from. How did you kind of condense it down to 11 tracks?
um, it was I owe a lot of that to Kenny Greenberg, my producer, because the first meeting that we had about this record uh, lasted about 3 hours, and I think I just inundated him with just a plethora of ideas. I played him song after song, idea after idea. I had been writing original songs for over a year leading up to that meeting, and so I had a ton of stuff, to offer and to throw at him. And I think I expected that day at the end of the meeting for him to say, okay, well, here's my list of favorites. And he didn't do that. He said, can you put that in a Dropbox folder and let me live with it for a couple of weeks? And I said, sure. So I think I kind of overwhelmed him. So he comes back to me, a few weeks later, and we meet, and he said, here's my list of favorites. And the first song on the list is Mele Kaliki Maka Mai Ohana. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, this is not what I expected. But I couldn't get mad because everything on his list was my idea. And so I couldn't get mad about it. I just had to kind of, take a step back and kind of process what he had, picked out of that 3 hour meeting. And the interesting thing about his choices were they were all songs that were kind of me thinking outside the box, and taking a different approach to a standard song that had been recorded 1,000 times. um and I think he just kind of tapped into what I'm about, because I get bored easily. I love music. I'm very passionate about it, but I hate it when you take a song that's been recorded hundreds of times and you do it again this kind of the same way.
Hmm.
And so I'm always trying to find a new way to do an old song, and even new stuff. Like, I want to make sure that it doesn't sound like something that's already been out there. And so, there's example after example on this record of us actually doing that.
Well, the original songs that you wrote, how much of a challenge was that for you as a songwriter to get yourself into that headspace, particularly at a time when it's not the holiday as well? How difficult is that as a writer?
Oh man, the odds were definitely against me because not only was I writing Christmas stuff like, during the summertime, but I was also up against, the huge catalog of Christmas music that's already out there. There's so many standards, there's so many originals that have become standards and become hits. And so, we were, and when you're writing Christmas music, you're kind of limited on subject matter. And so I just really tried to come up with titles that were different, that kind of allowed me to, go in a different direction that nobody had ever gone in. And King Size Manger is a prime example of that. When I came up with that title, it kind of scared me, because I'm thinking, man, this is such a good title. I don't want to write a crappy song, with this title. And so I presented it to my friend Mark Narmore, who's been a friend of mine for over 20 years, and it just stopped him dead in his tracks. He said, "Oh my goodness, what a title!" And so we just, tried not to overcomplicate it. We just sat down and said, we just need to write a song that explains, what a king size manger is, why we're calling it that, what the significance is, and just kind of let the song speak for itself. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, and you've got some really cool special guests on the album as well. Pat McLaughlin on there, Rhonda Vincent. You've even got your own family on there. So tell us about the process of choosing those duets and why those guys felt like a good fit for the album.
Yeah, Pat, like I say, Pat and I wrote what he's given me together. And then, when we had made the work tape, the day we wrote it, Pat was kind of doing some of that echo stuff, vocally, and Kenny liked it. And he thought it would be a good idea to have Pat come into the studio and try that same thing. And so that's pretty much how that happened. And a lot of people don't know who Pat McLaughlin is, but he's actually an artist and has been for a long time. And, but he's just never had like I don't want to say he's never had a major label deal, because he actually used to be on Capitol in LA. But he's spent most of his career and his life here in Nashville. But he's a very eclectic type artist, and he's rock and roll, he's country, he's bluegrass, he's folk. He's actually gone on the road. He was a longtime band member of John Prine, and he's friends with Bonnie Raitt, and he's had songs cut by Taj Mahal, and it's just he's had an interesting career. But he's been a friend of mine for over 20 years, and so I just felt like he was very deserving of some credit on this song. So that's why I have him listed, on that song. And then Rhonda Vincent, after we cut Joy to the World, all I could think about was Daryl Singletary's version of Above and Beyond, and Rhonda singing with him on that. And I'm thinking, man, she would be great to have on this song if she can swing it, because this is going to be a very hard part to sing, because it modulates twice, and she's just going to be all over the place. And she was, and I did not envy her one bit. She came in and she knocked it out like a pro. But man, I jokingly said that it probably took her a couple of weeks to recover after singing all the song. And then my family, that was kind of an easy choice. I came up with that part that they sang on Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. That's always been my favorite Christmas song. So it was a joy to have, the people I love the most on my favorite Christmas song. And then with the Hawaiian song, I had already had Ho'okana sing on a previous song of mine called Hawaiian Girl from Deep South. And then Kenny said, Jake Shimabukuro's manager lives right down the street from me. He's like, what do you think about him playing ukulele on this? I said, dude, that would be awesome. Like, I mean, if anybody's going to play that instrument on one of my songs, it's got to be him. And so he reached out to him and agreed, and he just played a killer part on that song. So yeah, it's a fun record.
And you got to arrange 5 of the tracks yourself as well. So how much did you enjoy that side of the creative process? Because that must have been quite a joyful experience for you to really grab the reins and take control of this album.
Yeah, pretty much every song on this record, I have a thumbprint on, and like I say, the majority of this record was ideas that I had that I presented to Kenny. Right down to the penny whistle on the first Noel, to the arrangement, the string arrangement on Silent Night. The vibe of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. uh, the work tape that I had played Kenny of Go Tell It on the Mountain was literally me singing and clapping my hands. That was it. I wasn't playing guitar or piano. Like that was it. And so, um, and it was my idea to do Joy to the World as a shuffle with twin fiddles, and Angels We Have Heard on High. I kind of wanted to do it, you know, kind of similar to what the Mavericks would do, you know, just has that kind of energy.
Mm.
I didn't want to go all the way in that direction, so we decided not to put a horn section on it and have, gut string guitars or whatever. But yeah, it has that energy, and we kind of got rid of all the orchestral chords and all that, and just kind of simplified it. So yeah, it's a lot of these ideas are mine, and I love that process of just arranging and trying to come up with a different way to do these old songs.
Mm. And just finally, Josh, you're heading out on the Holiday and the Hits Christmas tour next month. And it's great to see you got Mo Pitney with you as well, because we're huge Mo
Yeah.
Pitney fans.
Yep.
How much are you looking forward to that tour, and why did Mo feel like a good fit for that?
I'm very excited about it. I've never done anything like this before, so it's going to be kind of a new experience for me. And anything new at this stage of my career is welcome. So it's going to be a challenge at first, trying to get used to doing a show like that. But I think the fans know what they're coming to and what they're buying a ticket for. So I think they're going to be excited about it too. So we're all going to get out there and just have a good time. I'll be interested to see, what kind of songs Mo plays on on this, see if he's ready for this. So it'll be fun.
Well, Josh, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Really appreciate you taking the time, and yeah, best of luck with the album.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh, and come and see us
All
in the
right.
UK again soon.
I would love to. Thanks, Dan.